Tonight, on a special edition of 2020, the life and death of Robin Williams.
You make us laugh. You make us feel good, Robin.
It's my day job.
From Mork to Mrs. Doubtfire. To the genie. The funny man.
If you'd like to follow us into the plant, I'll show you around.
Making our hearts break right now. The very latest on the investigation from the man who had 100 different faces and voices.
Good morning, Vietnam!
His own voice that you'll only see here. Everything from clowning around with Barbara Walters.
You cry on this program, I won't run any of it.
I tell you, I couldn't make it as an actor.
To the dark years of addiction with Diane Sawyer.
If you look over, you're standing at a precipice and you look down. There's a voice, and it's a little quiet voice that goes, jump.
Tonight, the fans, the fun.
Madonna, Madonna, Madonna.
The fame.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
You knew that you were in the presence of someone who was phenomenal.
And your favorite moments.
Nanu.
The life and death of Robin Williams. Here's David Muir.
Good evening. Robin Williams once said, "I'm afraid if I ever grow up, I won't be able to make a living." So right here tonight, a celebration of that life. So many of the funny moments, an actor, a child at heart. One of those roles, a father who loved his children and would do anything to get them back. Tonight, pictures coming in from San Francisco, the house, the backdrop for that movie, Mrs. Doubtfire. And these images from Los Angeles tonight, fans gathered at his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. This evening, right here on 2020, Robin Williams, in his own words, on addiction, on the voice in his head, on fame, on parenthood. We hear from famous actors and directors who witnessed a genius. But we start here with the investigation tonight, what authorities discovered inside Robin Williams' home.
Those models are like deer in a thong.
His brand of humor, high octane and always unpredictable.
Hello.
The impact of his comedy, as deep as the pain felt by his death. Actor and comedian Robin Williams has died at the age of 63. Tonight, authorities revealing the probable cause of death.
Was it an apparent suicide due to a hanging?
His assistant discovering his body dangling from a belt in his Northern California home with cuts on his wrists. Shortly after, he was pronounced dead at 12:02 p.m., noon yesterday. Earlier today, it was announced that preliminary tests are now underway.
Toxicology testing will be conducted to determine if Mr. Williams had any chemical substances in his system at the time of his death.
Hoping to find more answers as a nation of fans collectively pays tribute to his genius while mourning the loss. There are few clues tonight beyond that statement from his publicist saying that Williams has, quote, been battling severe depression of late. A local shopkeeper speaking to our Cecilia Vega today saying he saw Williams in the last week.
That kind of a mind that's going at such a speed that none of us can understand got to a point where he, if you could say simply, he couldn't deal with it anymore.
Free cocaine!
He publicly battled his personal demons, his ups and downs throughout the years.
Does anyone have drugs to ease my pain? My kingdom for a quaalude!
An addiction to cocaine in the late 70s, and later multiple bouts with alcoholism. We first learned about it publicly in 1986 when he quit, then entering rehab in 2006. And then just last month, Williams checking himself back into a rehab facility for treatment. Williams talking about just how quickly and easily it is to relapse, sharing his story with comedian Mark Maron on his podcast in 2010.
I was just being in Alaska.
What were you doing up there?
This movie called The Big White, and then feeling kind of like isolated, and all of a sudden went, well, there's one cure.
And with a string of relatively recent setbacks, things might have seemed more bleak. The alcohol abuse reportedly ending his second marriage, his 2 divorce settlements estimated to cost him roughly $30 million. He recently put his $35 million Napa ranch on the market, saying he couldn't afford it anymore. And another blow, his new sitcom, The Crazy Ones, was canceled after just 1 season.
My pain.
But Williams was always game to joke about his troubles, and he almost always bounced back. In the beginning, success came quickly, his talent bringing him to the famed Juilliard School. It was there he forged a lifelong friendship with classmate Christopher Reeve. He landed his first big break as an alien from the planet Orc on Happy Days. Marshall saying he hired Williams on the spot, saying he'd never interviewed an alien before.
He did his whole audition standing on his head, and he did a whole bunch of strange alien things, and He got the part.
Then that moment on Happy Days when the Fonz opens that front door.
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Actor Henry Winkler telling me tonight he will never forget it. When he shows up at the Cunningham's house and you open the door, it was almost like a metaphor of Robin Williams bursting onto the scene.
You knew when you first watched him, from the very first minute he picked up the script and started to improvise, that you were in the presence of someone who was phenomenal.
That character such a hit, producers creating a spin-off, Mork and Mindy. At one point, more than 60 million viewers tuning in every week.
Hello! Anybody in there?
Williams would transition to the big screen, starring in a string of films, among them Good Morning Vietnam.
Oh, I'll get you, my pretty! Oh, my God, it's the Wicked Witch of the North. It's Hanoi Hannah!
And the world would soon see his more serious side, taking on the role of John Keating.
Rip it out!
The unorthodox English professor in Dead Poets Society who challenged and shaped young minds.
No matter what anybody tells you, words and ideas can change the world.
But Williams would change the world too, joining fellow comedians Whoopi Goldberg and Billy Crystal to create Comic Relief, an organization that raised nearly $50 million to help the homeless.
You'll feel good. We'll feel good. Ow, I feel good.
Williams also championed the USO, celebrating our troops all over the world. Called the Bob Hope of his generation, he entertained nearly 90,000 troops. But it was his turn as a sensitive psychologist to a troubled genius played by Matt Damon that would finally earn Robin Williams an Oscar.
Robin Williams in Good Will Hunting.
This might be the one time I'm speechless. Thank you so much.
Picture all the generations coming together for the family dinner, and everyone at that table will have a favorite movie, and it's likely different from the person across from them.
After he died, there were, a lot of posts on Facebook and Instagram of different movies, people posting their own favorite movies, and different generations post different things. I would have probably posted Mork and Mindy or Mrs. Doubtfire. Another generation would have posted Aladdin.
Not enough.
The animated classic Aladdin reaching a whole new generation of fans. The constraints of animation, no match for Robin Williams.
He was discovered over and over again, but he also just kept working and he kept reinventing himself and he kept getting and doing incredibly good work through all of those years.
And it's Williams' newest generation of fans who have overwhelmed social media in the last 24 hours with images, tributes of their own. Many of them standing on desks and tweeting, "Oh, Captain, my Captain," a reference to that professor in Dead Poets Society who touched so many.
Captain, my Captain.
Sit down, Mr. Anderson.
Tonight, there are so many questions over Robin Williams' projects, so many of them well underway. He had a number of movies in the works. We know he was going to reprise his role in Mrs. Doubtfire among them. What happens now?
I think that Mrs. Doubtfire cannot happen without him, so I think that one is going to be off the table. That role is so iconically Robin Williams that you couldn't even think about making that movie.
Hello!
A movie about a man willing to do anything to be with his kids. And in real life, Robin Williams' last tweet was a picture of him holding his daughter, Zelda Ray, as a baby. His daughter tweeting overnight, "I miss you, I love you, I'll try to keep looking up." This is a family. These are children left without their dad.
What it says to me is just how much pain he must have been in when he died, because you know what your family's going to go through, and I think he just could not find a way out of it.
Our thanks to Jess Cagle at People. When we come back here tonight, trying to keep a straight face while interviewing Robin Williams, Barbara Walters and those moments, and Robin Williams in his own words on addiction, his honesty, his candor about the voice in his head, and your favorite roles tonight, from Mork and Mindy to Good Will Hunting to Aladdin. And as we go to break, another favorite, Mrs. Doubtfire. It took Williams 4.5 hours to turn himself into Mrs. Doubtfire every day. He even gave her a test drive before shooting by wearing the makeup into a bookstore, but nobody recognized him.
He'll be right there. He's just changing, dear.
Yes, I want to keep you abreast of some of the changes in my career. There have been 2 big developments. I'm finally starting to come into my own. Things are really starting to take shape, and I'm blossoming.
It wasn't just on screen that Robin Williams broke the mold. So many directors left openings in the script knowing he would ad-lib. But it was also during interviews where he flew without a net. You were lucky enough to keep up. Barbara Walters tonight on the unscripted Robin Williams. The pact he made with Christopher Reeve, the promise he kept, and where he always hoped he'd be as an old man. His answer so telling.
Twitter broke the other day. My thumbs are moving for no reason. What the f*** is that? A book.
On stage, he was a comic genius, and in person, it was no different.
I'm running for mayor of New York tonight.
To talk to Robin Williams was a side-splitting, unforgettable adventure.
That's all, ladies and gentlemen. Herb dance the tango.
We met in 1989, after his huge success in Good Morning Vietnam and Dead Poets Society. His daughter Zelda was just 6 days old.
No pictures, please. No pictures.
Want to introduce him to Zelda?
Are you an older man? Would you like to meet a younger woman? She's only a week old, but yet I feel that you have this feeling. You have Legos?
Our interview was in his Manhattan apartment.
How do you like what we've done to your house? Have we improved your living room?
I believe you've done something beautiful with here. These, if you can pan over here, and that one, these are staying to give it that lovely high-tech look. These I would like to just keep here, just to have in the house. I like this. No, this is what you've done in this lovely stuff. This stuff, you can never have enough moving blankets in your home.
The crew tried its best, but couldn't stifle the laughter.
You can never insulate your house for sound, because eventually you'll be walking around the house going, this is great. Look, he can't behind it.
You're driving him crazy.
This is great. Well, this will have that special look.
This is called reality.
And now we can do like the mafia interview. I never saw her.
His breakout role, the character Mork in Mork and Mindy,
Mork, Ollie Olsen.
was the perfect foil for his irreverent, irrepressible form of comedy. Since he played an alien, he didn't have to behave like regular folks, something Robin rarely did anyway.
Robin, I want to ask you all the dumb questions were you born like this?
No. I guess it happened like the first year of college. Just as a store of things. Basically, no, I wasn't performing all the time. I performed with, truth is, perform for my mother. It's like Leonard Bruce used to talk about it, saying it's a love me syndrome. For me, performing was a great way to, interrelate with my mother. She was funny, and a way great to talk back to her was to be funny back. And we played back and forth that way. The first year of college, I started performing in this improv group, and I never stopped since then.
A simple cough could send Robin into a riotous riff.
Excuse me.
We have to do the Waldheimlich maneuver on you.
I don't remember anything before 1945. What happened? I don't know. Barbara. I was in the forest. I was not a Nazi. I was picking nuts. I was a Nazi. I was delivering underwear to Goebbels, and he was coming out dancing like Betty Grable. What does that make me? I don't know. They were crazy that way. We woke up. We were in Poland. It wasn't anybody's fault, It was...
I think I'm warmed up now.
I think you're... Forget it.
Now we're back!
Robin, do you ever just talk straight?
Yeah.
For how long?
Hours at a time.
Yeah?
Yeah, I can for a long time. Don't like to, because it's more fun to play.
Did you go into comedy because you couldn't make it as an actor?
Yes, I actually...
Is that true? That's what I read. That you couldn't get a job as a...
Yes.
You cry on this program, I won't run any of it.
It was that...
You promised me you wouldn't cry.
I tell you, I couldn't make it as an actor. I remember doing Hamlet going, to be, line, I found it very difficult being in tights, and you're wearing tights and you're doing Shakespeare and they can tell what religion you are.
The tears come down your cheeks.
Yeah, they go.
I just realized...
I can't believe it, Barbara, you... Oh, God,
Pull yourself, Robin. Pull yourself together.
Pull myself in.
From the Metropolitan Opera House in New York City, Mr. Robin Williams.
On stage, Robin threw away the rule book and refused to play it safe. He could even find humor in a disaster like Chernobyl.
We believe now the accident at Chernobyl has been taken care of. If you'd like to follow us into the plant, I'll show you around.
We'll keep playing till we raise $2 million.
And he could transform a simple stroll through Central Park into a masterclass of improvisation.
All of this money goes directly to the Barbara Walters Foundation. Please help. Thank you. Please. An interview show is a terrible thing to waste. This really one well-hung Hebrew!
That humor and humanity
It's actually for the New York Healthcare for the Homeless Project.
was a huge source of comfort to Robin's friends, like his best friend, Christopher Reeve. Reeve told me that when he was paralyzed in 1995, he was in his hospital bed, unsure if he wanted to live or die.
And I turned to my side, and there is Robin Williams dressed as a doctor, wearing one of those funny blue scrub hats.
You recognized him?
Of course, we've been friends for 22 years, with a Russian accent, being some wacky doctor.
Just like this doctor Robin played in the movie 9 Months.
Follow me! No!
And for the first time since I crashed, I laughed, as I always do, as we all always do with Robin. And I felt such joy at seeing him, and he'd come all that way. It was one of the first indicators to me that life could be good again.
Okay, all right, 1 second.
That sense of humor extended to Robin's own health as well. He had heart surgery in 2009, and it was fodder for new material.
And I found out I had a bad heart because they did an echocardiogram and my heartbeat was like... My cardiologist went, that's not good. My Latin friend said, no, you could dance to that. That's kind of cool.
You said at one point that even though they gave you a cow valve...
I ended up getting a bovine valve, which is a cow valve, which is kind of cool because you can standing up. That's great. Great to be here. Nice to be here.
That you would have preferred a horse.
I was hoping to get an equine valve or a horse valve.
And also to be able to run, you know, a really fast, you know, a nice quarter mile. And Hialeah, Robin coming down to gate number 5 in this second on us. And he's in the lead, Mark and they come around the corner.
But do you move now with the cow valve?
No, but I give a great quart of cream.
The surgery also gave him new perspective on life and death.
We got the gift of life, the idea that we are mortal, and the idea that, you know, that's a big wake-up on many levels of going, you know, you appreciate little things like breathing, you know?
Like breathing, yes.
Yeah, breathing and walking and friends and family and all those things that mean, because you realize, damn, man, this is precious.
Most precious to him were his 3 children, Zachary, Zelda, and Cody.
How do you see yourself as an old man?
I just see hanging out with grandchildren and stuff, probably telling stories. Remember when California was above water? We can take the glass bottom tour if you want. God, it'd be great going, no, you can't go to Venus this weekend. I'm sorry.
If somebody said to you, you can have 3 wishes. You told me you have so much right now, you can have 3 wishes.
Okay.
Okay.
First, 1 million more wishes, okay? I'll go with that. See, we broke the rules already. For me, I would like to see peace for the rest of all eternity, an infinite amount of peace. And I'd like to see everything I say be funny for all time.
Even when he thought the cameras had stopped rolling, he kept us laughing.
It's free time, isn't it?
Anything you want.
It's playtime? We've done the interview? All right, now it's time for the puppet show. No. No, the baby's in the back going,
Let's go! You did the funny stuff. You got the ending. Take a hike.
And Barbara's with us now, and you were telling me that whenever you would interview Robin Williams, the interview never really ended when the camera stopped rolling.
That's what was so wonderful. I mean, you'd plan all your questions, you knew just what you wanted to say, and then it was off the wall. I loved interviewing Robin Williams.
And so you never really stopped the camera when you were supposed to?
No, sometimes that was the best part, after the actual interview.
But Barbara, you talked to Robin so many times over the years, and I'm curious, did you ever really sense the true scope of his suffering?
I didn't, but I'm not surprised, because we now know that many comedians, that many people who are very funny use the humor to hide the depression, as you saw earlier.
As we saw earlier here, but perhaps because he was so loved by his co-stars and by his fans across this country, perhaps we started a conversation tonight.
To understand more about depression.
Barbara, thank you. And Barbara talks about masking depression. And when we come back here, Robin Williams talking about rehab, the voice in his head, his honesty about losing control. And then your favorite characters, among them the nightclub owner in the birdcage, the scene where he's choreographing a dance number. He said much of it was ad-libbed, but later revealed he based it on his dance teachers at Juilliard. Some of the very same teachers who, by the way, told him he'd never make it as an actor.
You do an eclectic celebration of the dance. You do Fosse, Fosse, Fosse. You do Martha Graham, Martha Graham, Martha Graham. Or Twyla, Twyla, Twyla. Or Michael Kidd, Michael Kidd, Michael Kidd, Michael Kidd. Or Madonna, Madonna, Madonna. But you keep it all inside.
Tonight, investigators have not revealed whether there was a note left behind or any message for his family, his 3 children. His family knew of his struggles. Robin Williams had acknowledged his marriages had paid the price. And he was very candid with Diane Sawyer about addiction after a stint in rehab in 2006, about that constant voice he heard, the temptation, and the new hope when he got out. Here tonight, ABC's Juju Chang.
Like many performers, Robin Williams used drugs and alcohol in his comedy on stage, but he also used drugs and alcohol off stage as well. Plagued by drinking and cocaine from early in his career, then in 1982, an overdose killed his close friend John Belushi. They'd reportedly partied together the night Belushi died. That and the birth of his first child inspired him to go cold turkey, no rehab. He says he was clean nearly 2 decades, until he relapsed and wound up in rehab for the first time. Diane Sawyer interviewed him in 2006 when he was still counting sobriety in months, not years.
2 months, club medicated, away, quiet time. Good though, I'm back. People say, how do you feel? With my fingers. How does it? Don't drink. What are you doing to stay that way? Don't drink.
Was there something somebody said to you, one sentence that got through?
You're a drunk. It got through to me saying, you need help. And that's the best sentence that got through. You got to go away. You got to deal with this.
Family, friends, everyone.
Many people. It was pretty much unanimous on that level. And then you go and you say, that's it. Yeah, you're right. It takes a lot to finally realize it. And then you say, gotta go. Gotta go! And then you go. And then all of a sudden you went, yeah. And then the moment you start to deal with it, you went, whoa, wow. You know, and then you come out of it. And then you have to go back and go, oh, okay, this is what I've done. I mean, everyone said, it's so brave. It wasn't brave. You have no choice. You do have a choice. You can keep going. Over the edge.
How hard was it to talk to your kids, your wife?
They're very supportive. It's not hard. It's hard admitting it. And then once you've done that, it's real easy. It's trying to keep up the pretense. The sad thing is, you know, for most people who drink, is that you think that people don't notice. And then you find it later on, we knew. Even the dog's like, woof.
What have they said to you through this?
That they love me, which is great. That's the simplest and most wonderful thing.
How long before you decided this is it?
I don't know. It was a couple of years of just thinking I can do it on my own, and you can't. That's the bottom line. I can do this. I can stop. And you really think you can, and then you realize, I need help. And that's the operative word.
So, to talk about it as caused by something...
Not caused by anything, it's just there. It's just, you know, it's latent. Waits. It lays in wait, and for the time when you think, it's fine now, I'm okay. And then, beep. And then the next thing you know, it's not okay. Things are not going so well. And then you realize, where am I? This is strange. I didn't realize I was in Cleveland. You're standing at a precipice, and you look down. There's a voice, and it's a little quiet voice that goes, jump. It's the same voice. The same voice goes, just one. It's the thing of, you can do this. You can jump. You know, you can fly. And the idea of just one. And for someone who has no tolerance for it, that's not a possibility.
It was that voice, he said, that encouraged him to take a drink of whiskey in 2006. And within a week, he was once again in trouble. Then, just last month, another trip to rehab for the comedian. Williams described his addictions as an escape. We may now know from what. His representative says the comic and actor was in the grip of a severe depression. ABC News contributor Dr. Jennifer Ashton says addiction can fuel depression and vice versa.
Why does it so frequently go hand in hand? You know, it's kind of the which came first, the chicken or the egg scenario. Does depression lead to substance abuse and addiction, or does addiction lead to depression? And the answer is, it really can go in both directions.
The irony of a master of laughter enslaved by darkness is so striking. Could there be a connection there as well?
He was so eloquent in describing addiction and inspired many people as a result. Depression and addiction does not discriminate. It doesn't care whether you have an Oscar. It doesn't care whether you have a lot of money. And it doesn't care whether you're homeless.
Comedian Jim Carrey told 60 Minutes he too struggled with depression, describing it as a low level of despair. Reacting to Williams' apparent suicide, comedian Chevy Chase said, "Robin and I were great friends, suffering from the same little-known disease, depression. And Lady Gaga tweeted, perhaps this tragedy will shed light on the seriousness of depression, and urged followers to reach out for help, saying, if you are struggling with depression, mental illness, or addiction, you are not alone.
I understand the pain you're all going through.
Actress Lisa Jacob, who played Williams' daughter in Mrs. Doubtfire, posted a farewell letter saying she herself had suffered from depression. It's real and it's not shameful, and there is help available, she said.
And alcohol is especially dangerous for people like myself, alcoholics. Or you can say ethanol challenge, whatever you want to call it.
In that candid conversation with Diane, the word depression never came up, but Williams sounded hopeful.
Is there a sadness about these past 2 years then?
Yeah, there's a sadness, and then you have to go, then there's also hope. I mean, a sadness, it's always like, yeah, you wish they hadn't happened, but they did. And the purpose is to make you different. It's what they call a Buddhist gift. I would call it the ultimate Christian gift. It's that idea of you're back and you realize the thing that matters are others, way beyond yourself. Self goes away. Ego, bye-bye. Realize there are a lot of amazing people out there to be grateful for, and a loving God. And that, other than that, good luck. That's what life is about.
Our thanks to Juju and to Diane, and we're live tweeting tonight, so let us know your favorite Robin Williams character. Use the hashtag 2020 Robin Williams. And when we come back, how he created some of your favorite characters, more than 50 different voices alone in Aladdin. We're back in a moment.
I don't think you quite realize what you got here. So why don't you just ruminate whilst I illuminate the past.
We continue with the life and death of Robin Williams. Here now, Chris Connolly.
Yes, I am. Surprise, surprise, surprise!
Few doubted that Robin Williams was a spectacular talent.
My first day as a woman, I'm getting hot flashes.
For his once-in-a-generation speed of sound, comedic gifts, and sensibility.
I'm melting! Help me!
But where had it come from?
Madonna, Madonna, Madonna!
And how to put it all to use. That was Hollywood's dilemma.
What was special about him? Well, he was always on.
Gary Marshall put Robin Williams first in Happy Days, then in Mork and Mindy.
What was it about him that made you call him a genius?
Well, because you never knew what he was going to do. You never figured it out.
Thank you, let's all get down, get funky. The lovely Lemon Sisters gonna sing I Can Get No Satisfaction.
Casting him first as Mork from Mork was the sitcom equivalent of a cosmic shrug. Anyone this fast and funny couldn't be of this earth.
He said what was in the script, but he also ad-libbed him, and he ran all around crazy.
Hey, don't take away my gusto.
And he was wonderful, and I yelled, cut! And I said, Sam, did you get that? And Sam said, he never came by here.
Unleashing his improvisational gifts proved a challenge for the big screen.
I'm a Jack.
And what island are you from?
Ellis, originally.
Of the Caribbean comedy club Paradise, Williams would say, I thought I could fix it.
We're still ironing out the bugs.
Well, I think you'll find most of the bugs in my room.
Not so much. It was director Barry Levinson who would give Williams total freedom.
Oh, no. Follow the Ho Chi Minh Trail.
Casting him as an armed forces radio DJ in wartime.
Hey, hi, can you help me? What's your name? My name's Roosevelt Lee Roosevelt. Roosevelt, what town are you stationed in? I'm stationed in Poontang. Well, thank you, Roosevelt. What's the weather like out there? It's hot. Damn hot. It's damn hot. You can be a little thing. I saw it so damn hot. I saw one of those little guys in the orange robe burst into flame. What do you think it's going to be like tonight? It's going to be hot and wet. That's nice if you're with a lady, but it ain't no good if you're in the jungle.
The result was the uninhibited Good Morning Vietnam in 1987, the first film as on the edge as Williams' stand-up comedy.
Is that me or does that sound like an Elvis Presley movie? Viva Da Nang. Oh, Viva Da Nang. Denying me, why don't they get a rope and hang me?
Master, I don't think you quite realize.
By 1992, he was playing the genie in Aladdin.
I'm in the mood.
Another ideal showcase.
Never had a friend like me. You need more power, Jim.
Don't be afraid. You had it all along.
I never did it. I am not at fault.
Let's make some magic.
His mega riffs in the recording studio would be animated afterwards.
Princess Jasmine, you're very
Splendid, wonderful, magnificent, glorious, punctual.
And I recorded that with Robin Williams, and he was so funny. I tried so hard not to laugh, but I'm sure I ruined a couple of takes. All right, how do I look?
Like a vampire on a day pass.
Thanks, Jeannie.
Oh, Al. I'm getting kind of fond of you, kid.
I don't care what I am.
By then, this on-screen chameleon was exploring another side of his performing self. He would harness his freewheeling style.
Just when you think you know something, you have to look at it in another way, even though it may seem silly.
To play characters eager to connect on a deeper level, as this English teacher, through poetry.
Gather ye rosebuds while ye may. The Latin term for that sentiment is carpe diem.
Mr. Keating.
It was called Dead Poets Society.
I do believe you, Tom. Leave, Mr. Keating.
Harrison Ford joked that the only title less commercial would have been Dead Poets Society in Winter. And with a young cast that included future stars Ethan Hawke, Robert Sean Leonard, and Josh Charles, it gave the shape-shifting Williams a new, more empathetic dimension on screen.
Thank you, boys. You're just a kid. You don't have the faintest idea what you're talking about. Why, thank you.
That side would win him a Best Supporting Actor Oscar for his role as a therapist counseling Matt Damon's math whiz in Good Will Hunting. Mrs. Doubtfire became his signature work.
Oh, how lovely.
We've got 5 hours.
He'd do more spirited comedy, too, with Nathan Lane in The Birdcage.
Get the goddamn stinky down. All right, make your fingers like iron, all right? Yeah, and stop trembling. Hold the knife boldly and with strength.
How can I pierce the toast?
Through it all, it wasn't always easy figuring out what had made him so gifted and what drove him to the antic feats of comedy that dominated on movie screens.
Robin Williams.
And shined so brightly on talk shows and in interviews.
Little something from the Elvis estate.
You know how to make you laugh. But to say hello and talk about the weather,
Why do you think that was?
I don't know. We never found out.
It wasn't the sort of thing a rapid-fire routine could reveal. And even Gary Marshall wasn't sure what happened when Williams wasn't on.
I mean, everybody has demons, and I thought he could make it, so I was totally shocked when this happened. And it's difficult when somebody that entertaining goes, because it wasn't he was the good one, he was the best.
But that comic gift, the ability to pull connections seemingly out of the air, to take the freedom that stand-ups and filmmakers and TV shows gave him and bestow laughter over and again on an eager and grateful public, that was special and undeniable.
Bless your heart. You make us laugh. You make us feel good, Robin. You know
Thank
that?
you. It's a good job. I like it. It's my day job. Thank you.
Don't ever quit your day job.
Thank you.
No,
It was that brilliance that made Robin Williams a star, and that along with his generosity and kind-heartedness, linger in the hearts of those who never met him, and those who knew him for decades.
Very sad. I grew up in the streets of the Bronx, but I cried. He was a good man, but I'm glad I knew him. I think everybody was.
You take care of yourself. I won't forget you.
Our thanks to Chris Conley tonight. And at one point, Robin Williams, a lonely, overweight child, said he started to make up voices to keep himself company. When we come back here, so many people who would bump into Robin Williams on the streets of San Francisco, his kindness, what he would say to them at the store, on the sidewalk. And as we go to break tonight, another of Robin Williams' most popular characters, Teddy Roosevelt in Night at the Museum, his highest-grossing movie ever, more than $800 million around the world. Tonight, there's still a third museum movie with Williams left to come out. It's still expected this Christmas.
Good Lord, Lawrence, why are you slapping a monkey? Teddy, this guy's been pushing me, and I'm sick of it. Poppycock. This little creature is your primate brother. Without him, there's no us. Are you rabid?
And now we go to San Francisco. Robin Williams moved there as a teenager from Chicago and never left, calling the Bay Area his home. He honed his stand-up chops there, and he was a friend to all, giving out money, giving out candy bars with toothbrushes on Halloween. ABC's Cecilia Vega calls the Bay Area home, too, and she's where the fans have left so many flowers tonight. Cecilia?
David, good evening to you. I am standing outside that house made famous in the blockbuster Mrs. Doubtfire. People have been coming here all day long to leave flowers, to leave candles. You can see them all piled up right here on these famous stairs behind me. This right now is a gathering spot for San Francisco to remember its favorite son. With the passing of Robin Williams, the world lost a great comic.
You don't want a doctor who's done 6 surgeries, 3 of them haven't gone that well.
An entertainer. Fly, be free! An icon. But for those who live here in San Francisco, the death of the actor, a local resident Giants fan, celebrity for the people, was more like losing a close friend. One of the greatest friends to this former mayor.
San Francisco is made up of characters, and he was one of the best in every sense of the word, in the most positive sense of the word.
And as the Bay Area today mourns along with the rest of us, we are reminded this was his city, his home, a refuge where he could be himself. While most stars of his ilk bask in the glow of Hollywood's white-hot glare, Robin retreated to the cool, great city of love. Mill Valley, just north of downtown San Francisco, was his local neighborhood. And despite the blockbuster films and international recognition, there was no ego, no Mork or Mrs. Doubtfire. Here, he was just Robin. He told a reporter once, "I can go anywhere and no one cares. I grew up there. They just go, oh, it's you."
Robin shopped here for years. I knew Robin for, I don't know, 35 plus years.
You did?
Yeah.
Friend?
Friend. He's a brilliant guy and cool and generous and, you know, and gave so much of himself.
At his local coffee hangout, we met Hillary, one of the last people to see him alive.
He was actually in here on Sunday. You know, he was someone that everyone in this community sort of thought of as their neighbor. He performed at the comedy club, he went to the bike store, and I think everyone is sort of in disbelief because you do feel like, well, I just saw him. Like, how can that be?
His impact resonated throughout the area, whether it was joking with local reporters at a bike race.
So you're going to take part in the celebrity chase. I guess that's 1 mile?
Yes, sir. It's 1 mile. My expectations are 1 mile.
Or at the zoo, where this longtime supporter even had a howler monkey named after him. This was Robin's city, and while they may have lost perhaps their greatest son, his impact, his legacy is all around. Now, I grew up in San Francisco, and I can tell you that Robin Williams was a fixture in the Bay Area. I've seen him riding his bike all around town. He would pop into City Hall and announce he would show up at comedy clubs unexpectedly. He was really just a regular neighbor, and David, I can tell you that tonight he is one we all very much miss.
So true. Sounds like the same guy we all came to love in his roles. Cecilia, thanks. You've been great on these last 24 hours. And when we come back here tonight, the other breaking news, the loss of another Hollywood legend. She was a siren straight from the golden age of Hollywood. I'll be right back. And now to word of another loss tonight, the stunning beauty whose on-screen love would become her off-screen love too. Lauren Bacall was 89.
You know how to whistle, don't you, Steve? You just put your lips together and blow.
Lauren Bacall's life story reads like a Hollywood script. Discovered at 19 on the cover of Harper's Bazaar, paired with Humphrey Bogart in her very first movie, the love interest into Have and Have Not.
What's the decision?
I don't know yet.
There was a 25-year age difference, but they would soon fall in love off-screen too. They would marry the next year. They were Hollywood's golden couple.
I like that. I'd like more.
No one, Bacall said, has ever written a romance better than we lived it. When Bogey died young of cancer in 1957, Bacall carried on, working on stage and on screen.
How would it look? The mother's dating and the daughter stays home alone?
Mom.
Who's looking?
You can't always be a leading lady, a glamour princess, she said. In her 70s, she was nominated for an Oscar and honored at the Kennedy Center. It's hard to believe, she once said, that it all happened to me. And as she said, I like that. I'd like more. Lauren Bacall remembered tonight. And this quote from Robin Williams could almost speak for both actors. You're only given a little spark of madness. You mustn't lose it. And so as we say goodnight here, here's a final look at the force of nature who kept that spark going in so many roles for so long. I'm David Muir. From all of us here at 2020 and ABC News, thank you for watching. I'll see you first thing in the morning on Good Morning America. Until then, good night.
Hey, this is not a test. This is rock and roll. Time to rock it from the Delta to the DMZ.
Theodore Roosevelt at your service.
I'm leaving. I'm going to New York to become a real writer.
Seize the day. Gather ye rosebuds while ye may. Why does the writer use these lines?
Because he's in a hurry.
No. Ding! Thanks for playing anyway.
Say the magic words. Genie, I wish for you to make me a prince.
All right! Yo, yo, woo, woo. Unless you want to talk about you, who you are, then I'm fascinated.
This might be the one time I'm speechless. Thank you so much.
Nano, nano.